hour-long national nightmare is finally over. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, it's been a long, hard, difficult 4 years, but we have now finally arrived at the point of victory. In about 6 hours, give or take a few minutes, the new President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, will take the oath of office, and he will become the 47th President of the United States. And my friends, I can't tell you how proud I am of not only him, his bravery, his resilience, his patriotism, his toughness, everything that he's endured, but of you, this incredible audience, of us, of the American people, for rising to the occasion and literally saving our country from certain doom and destruction, because that's what it would have meant had Kamala Harris stolen the election in November 2024. So, my friends, today is one of the most special shows in the history of the Kuhner Report, and I got to tell you, high noon today cannot come fast enough. Now, President Trump is getting ready for the mother of all inaugurations. Because of the freezing cold, and apparently temperatures are going to be very, very cold in Washington, D.C., they are going to hold the swearing in and his inaugural address to the nation indoors. It's not going to be outdoors. It has been moved indoors. Now, the only other time this has happened is during Reagan's second term, when he won re-election. Very similar temperatures, ice cold, almost Arctic temperatures. They said it was too dangerous for the attendees, too dangerous for the crowd. You don't want people getting sick or frostbitten or whatever. And so for everyone's safety, they moved it indoors. And actually, Trump in private is very happy about the decision. One, he says it bodes well for a very successful second term. Reagan had an immensely successful second term, one of the most successful in American history. And number two, I believe, and he believes, and his security people believe, that this will make him much safer. They were very worried about security for the inauguration. The radical left is determined to murder him. Let's be honest about it. They're still talking about it on social media. There are a lot of threats against this man from the deep state, from his political opponents. He survived two, not one, two assassination attempts in his quest to return to the White House. That's the level of hatred from the anti-Trumpers and the never-Trumpers in this country. So moving it indoors makes it much easier to protect him and his entourage. So, again, we may be watching the hand of God. Now, as for the swearing in and his all-important inaugural address, excerpts of the speech have already been leaked. Donald Trump is going to call for a political revolution of common sense. And above all, he is calling now for a new era of national success and a new era of national greatness. And he teased what will be the message and the primary theme motivating and driving his entire second term last night at an incredibly powerful and moving candlelight dinner that was held on the eve of the inauguration, where so many people who played such a vital, critical role were in attendance. Listen now to President Trump. He was frank, he was buoyant, optimistic, upbeat, and very gracious. Roll cut one, Mike.
I want to especially thank you all for being here on the eve of one of the most important days in the history of our country. The day we save our nation and begin to make America great again.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And listen in particular. I mean, he's proud of so many things, but he understands now the watershed we are at. What a pivotal inflection point in our nation's history we are at this very moment. What he has done is not just win a decisive victory, but he has now put together one of the greatest, broadest, and most diverse political coalitions in American history. And he's telling everyone in the room, I plan for this coalition, this Trump MAGA coalition, this America First coalition, to be permanent. Not a one-time thing. Like FDR, like Reagan, I want this to last way beyond my presidency. Roll cut 2, Mike.
Over the past 8 years, we've built a new political coalition of hardworking patriots of every race, religion, color, and creed, youth, women, African American, and you know that we set every record there is with African Americans and every record there is with Hispanic Americans, union members, and so many others. This is a once-in-a-lifetime realignment that will endure and lead America for generations to come. This was a very, very special time in our country's history.
Now, he's completely right. He's absolutely completely right. This is a unique opportunity now. And Trump understands it. He understands it fully. That we can permanently, or whatever is permanent in politics, but in terms of generations to come, we can now fundamentally change and realign American politics and create a new MAGA majority, an America First majority that will last for decades and decades. And listen now to President Trump saying, I know exactly the weight on my shoulders. And here is how he characterized the last 4 years of the Biden regime. Roll cut 4, Mike.
Tomorrow we will end 4 years of failure, disaster, and decline. And we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around quick, and we're going to do things that nobody thought even were possible. We're inheriting a nation faced with crises at home and abroad, but I will describe in my inaugural address tomorrow. Can you believe it? Tomorrow. It's been a long 4 years. Nasty. It's been a nasty 4 years.
Oh, yeah. An ugly 4 years. And as he puts it, we are going to end 4 years of failure, disaster, and decline. And just so that you know, these aren't just words. This isn't just empty political talk. Donald Trump teased it yesterday. It has now been confirmed by his entire team. The moment he is done with his inaugural address, President Trump will make his way to the Oval Office, where he will sign over 200 executive actions, nearly 100 executive orders. They're like planes on the tarmac, on the runway, one after the other. Put the paper in front of him with a stroke of a pen, next, stroke of a pen, next. And here is what he is going to do in about, I'd say 8 hours time, okay? Ballpark, he's going to be sworn in, he's going to give his address, shake hands. So I'm looking at about 2:30, 3 o'clock maximum. And this is what Trump is going to start doing in about 8 to 9 hours. He is going to declare a national emergency on the U.S.-Mexico border. By declaring a national emergency, Trump is going to do the following things. Listen to this. He is going to effectively seal the entire border. Remain in Mexico is going to be reinstated. He is going to put U.S. soldiers, the military, along the entire southern border, where immediately every single illegal alien is going to be prevented from coming into the United States. By tomorrow, there are going to be massive raids against gangbangers, criminals across 24 cities. He is also going to unleash drilling, oil and natural gas drilling on offshore oil, federal lands. He immediately says we're going to start lowering inflation by driving down the cost of energy and driving down the cost of what we pay at the pump. And he is going to end all of the DEI orders implemented by Biden across the entire federal government. And this, my friends, is just the tip of the iceberg. America is back. 619 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. We did it, baby. We did it. Okay, less than 6 hours now. This is, come on, let's go. You know, I feel like a coach or something. You know, you're winning the game, it's over, and you're just like, come on, let's get that clock down, let's go. Can't wait for Trump to be inaugurated, so he will be taking the oath of office at high noon. Now, he has already said, and this is, trust me, it's going to happen. I'm getting 200 executive actions are definitely going to be taken today. Around 100 executive orders. I've heard close to 100, just over 100. Anyway, he is going to be implementing about 100 executive orders within an hour of being sworn in. They are ready. They are written up. They just need for him to be officially sworn in. And then with the stroke of a pen, he is going to start to change, transform, restore, and renew America. Listen now to Trump yesterday at the candlelight dinner saying change is coming, and change is coming literally within seconds after I'm sworn in. Roll cut for a Mike.
My administration will take immediate and decisive action to confront every single problem America faces and put our nation back on the path to success and greatness. Within hours of taking office, I will sign dozens of executive orders, close to 100 to be exact, many of which I will be describing in my address tomorrow. We will not waste a single moment in delivering on our promises to the people. The Trump administration will again live by the motto, promises made, promises kept, and we kept those promises. We had a very, very successful last administration, and this one I think is going to be even more successful, maybe a lot more successful if that's possible.
I agree. I agree, and I'll tell you why. Number one, I think he learned on the job the last time. This is not the political newcomer Trump. This is now going to be a very experienced Trump coming in. He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows where the skeletons are. He knows the booby traps. He knows exactly the enemies now that are waiting and trying to undermine him. And he's also put together an incredible cabinet and an incredible team. I mean, from whether it's Pam Bondi as AG, Kash Patel as FBI director, Ratcliffe as CIA director, Tom Homan as border czar, Hegseth at defense, at the Pentagon. I mean, I could go. I got to say, even Rubio, and I'm a bit of a skeptic on Rubio, but so far, absolutely brilliant in his confirmation hearings. And he is saying all the right things. So, really, I have to say, on Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary, absolutely outstanding in defending Trump's economic agenda. So far, he's put together a dream team, a MAGA, America First cabinet. And that's why I think he's going to be even infinitely more successful than he was in his first term. Now, just so that you know, just to show you how much things are going to change, and I'm talking, 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon, okay? Within maybe an hour and a half after he's sworn in and delivers his inaugural address. Here is what he's going to do. These are just some of the executive orders. I'm telling you, I'm getting goosebumps. Already, it's like a body healing itself after years and years of abuse. Listen now to this. He is going to declare, as I said, a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border. He is going to issue a proclamation closing and sealing the border immediately. The border invasion ends. It ends today. Furthermore, he's going to designate the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Finally, Remain in Mexico will be reinstated today. Catch and release. That's how Biden flooded the country with millions of illegals. Will be terminated today. The military will be directed to construct the new phase and the final phase of the border wall. So starting today, the military is going to be on the border, and they're going to build that wall and complete that wall starting today. But it's more, much more. He's going to go very aggressive on the inflation front. Trump is going to terminate every single Biden executive order, putting restrictions on energy drilling. So you are now going to see oil and natural gas drilling on federal lands, offshore drilling. He says he's going to drive the price of gas under $3, under $2.50, under $2. He wants it down at least to about $1.70, $1.80. I mean, this is going to lower prices across the board. More. I love this. Return all federal workers to in-person work. None of this remote working anymore, where these overpaid bureaucrats don't do anything. Either you come back to the office and work if you're taking a federal salary on the taxpayer's dime, or you're out. You're fired. Pause all offshore wind leases. Stop this green energy scam. End DEI hiring practices in the federal government. Every agency, every government bureaucracy, merit only. Only the best will be kept. Only the best will be hired. Withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. Suspend the security clearances for the 51 security officials who lied about the Hunter Biden laptop story. 6:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me open it up to the great audience of Kuhner Country. My friends, this is our day. A blitz of executive orders coming right down the pike within an hour or two after Trump is inaugurated today. Even that alone, you will see a huge change and improvement across the entire board for the United States, both domestically and abroad. So, let me ask all of you, what do you make of the fact that the inauguration has been moved indoors due to the weather, the chilly temperatures, the cold weather? Do you like the idea? Do you not like the idea? Do you feel it makes Trump safer? I think it does. But does it put a little bit of a damper on the celebrations? I'm just curious. What do you make of it? Furthermore, what do you make now of these executive orders? What do you want Trump to achieve early in his administration? It was funny. I was having a dinner with Grace last night and the kiddos, And we were just talking about today and how much we're so looking forward to watching the inauguration and watching his inaugural address. And I said, I asked her, I said, if there's one thing, I know Trump's got to move on many fronts. I know the damage that Biden has done is massive, it's extensive, and it's almost every aspect of America that he has badly damaged or destroyed. I understand that. So Trump's got his work cut out for him. It's a mess. He's inheriting a mess. He knows it's a mess. But if there's one thing or one issue that matters most to you, that you say you really want, or you feel you really want Trump to address immediately, what is that single issue? Is it inflation? Is it energy? Is it the border? Is it crime? Is it the war in Ukraine? Is it the war in the Middle East? Is it DEI? Is it, there's so much, there's so much for him that he's going to have to address and unpack. But what is it that you feel Trump needs to do immediately? Is it clean out the deep state? Is it rein in these out of control agencies? Is it, you could just go on and on and on. What for you is your number one? I know you're going to say, Jeff, I like everything. I want him to do everything. I get it. But is there one issue that for you is a priority over other issues? And what is it? Grace answered without hesitation, the border. He's got to secure that border and begin massive deportations. She says he's got to do it or we're going to lose our country. Others say he's got to end the war between Russia and Ukraine before it spirals into World War III. The issue that got Trump elected, there are many issues, but if you go by the exit polls, it was inflation. Inflation was the number one. Border, very important. Many other issues, very important. But the high cost of living, the national economic decline, the erosion of our standard of living, and the soaring, skyrocketing prices, food, gas, rent, homes, energy, utilities, you name it. People are saying they just can't make ends meet. So what is the number one issue for you? 617-266-6868 is the number. And this will be the final show of the Kuhner Report during the Biden era. And it will be the final show before Trump is inaugurated for his second term. How do you feel? Are you like me? Are you celebratory? Are you happy? Are you relieved? Because I can't believe the day has finally arrived. Thank you, Jesus. As someone said to me over the weekend, this could be the first time in history, Jeff. This was on Friday. Okay, so this person sent it to me on Friday. Jeff, this could be the first time in history where the majority of the American people are more looking forward to Monday than to the weekend. That's how I felt. Jeff, have a great weekend. No. I just want Monday. So, look, I am very happy. I'm taking tremendous pride in what we've achieved today. I have no illusions about the work ahead of us and that the Democrats are going to resist and fight us every step of the way. But I have full confidence in Trump. I have full confidence in his team. And I truly believe we are now on the cusp of a new golden age in America. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lines are loaded. Dave in Revere. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Jeff,
hi, Dave.
Happy days are here again, Jeff.
Happy Inauguration Day, Dave.
Jeff, I could just say it's about time. Now, what I would do if I was Donald Trump, before he starts doing everything down the line like he's going to be doing, I would have that entire White House swept for security bugs. Because you know how they bug the office all the time? He should have somebody go in there and with a transmitter, whatever they use, the detectors, and make sure there's no bugs in the office, underneath the desk, in the lampshades, in the entire building, Jeff, should be swept for bugs for security purposes.
Dave, I agree with you. And let me go even a little further, if it's okay. I'm still worried about Trump's security. I'll be honest with you. Today, I think it's going to go fine. Please don't get me wrong. That's one of the reasons why when I heard, I think it was on Friday when they announced it. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Saturday, but it's all a bit of a blur the last 2-3 days. But when they announced it's going to be moved indoors, it's going to be held in the rotunda on Capitol Hill. Part of me was relieved. Part of me, I didn't mind it, to be honest. It is going to be extremely cold today. Okay, so I feel very bad for the people who are going to watch it outdoors. You don't want people to get, hurt. Really, I mean, these are, freezing Arctic temperatures, and these things could go on for a couple hours. So that's number one. But number two, it seems to me you move it indoors, and it makes it easier for Trump's security people to protect him. And so part of me was like, I don't know, maybe it's the hand of God again. But on the other hand, I'm having a lot of people who I trust and value their opinion very highly writing to me saying, I don't trust the Capitol Hill police, Jeff. The same Capitol Hill police that set him up over January 6th and that went wild against Trump supporters, beating them, firing rubber bullets at them, assaulting them, setting them up. I don't trust Trump's security with those people. So what say you, Dave? Are you worried about his security today?
Jeff, honestly, if it was outside, I'd be worried about it because it's such a big complex of where that complex is, and who knows who would be hiding upstairs someplace like they did it the last time when they tried to shoot him in the head there. Who knows where they're going to be hiding, Jeff? And I could bet that Black Lives Matter is upset about this being inside because they're the ones who really want to take him out because they were making threats before this day came to where if anything happens and if he gets elected, they were going to start something. So they were talking all this craziness before this even came around. And that's what I was worried about. But it is a good thing that it's going to be inside for his safety's sake, and that's how it should be. Even though a lot of people are going to be outside during the cold because it's freezing out. It's only 18 degrees here today. So who knows, Jeff?
I agree with you. Oh, Dave, ultimately, I like it better inside than outside, exactly for the reason you just laid out. Dave, thank you very, very much for that call. Really, really good call. So, and look, just so that you know, to lay it all out there, Black Lives Matter says they want to hold a massive protest and rally in D.C. The Antifa says they want to be there as well. And Democrats today are dressing in black as if it's a funeral. So the resistance has already begun. 6:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now to President Trump at the candlelight dinner, basically saying, I'm going to start fixing everything. I mean everything. Well, I got a pen, I got a phone, as Obama once put it, and I'm going to use it. Listen now to Trump saying the invasion of our borders is over. Roll cut 4B, Mike.
Less than 24 hours from now, the invasion of our borders will end and the restoration of our sovereignty will begin. We will stop immediately criminals from pouring into our country from countries all over the world. That will stop immediately.
He then said inflation. Just very quickly, because you can see now he's zeroing in on his agenda. And he's not going to stop until he fulfills every single promise. And his aides are saying, get ready for the first 100 days. Because it's going to be the most dazzling 100 days in American history. Trump is unleashing a blitzkrieg on every single front. Listen now to him saying about our inflation crisis. He goes, we have to unlock oil and natural gas production, and I'm going to do that on day one. Gas goes down, oil goes down, everything goes down. Roll cut 4C, Mike.
We will quickly defeat the inflation crisis and unlock the liquid gold. You know what liquid gold is? We have more than anybody under our feet. In other words, we will drill, baby drill, and get those prices down, and everything else is going to follow.
Oh, yeah. You had me at hello. You had me at hello. Now, listen to Trump saying the destruction, the chaos wreaked upon our country, the havoc. I'm going to undo all of Biden's executive orders, every single one of them, on my first day, hours after I've taken the oath. All of it is going to be rescinded and revoked. Roll cut 4D, Mike.
With the stroke of my pen, I will revoke dozens of destructive and radical executive orders and actions of the Biden administration, and by this time tomorrow, they will all be null and void.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I'm telling you already. Look, if he continues, if the first day is anything like the next 4 years, he's going to be the most successful president I think we've ever had. Seriously. So it ties into my larger question that I've asked, since really 6 o'clock this morning. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Which of the following executive orders do you want to see Trump sign first? Now, he's going to sign them all. But in other words, which one is the most pertinent issue, the most important issue for you, that he really prioritizes and gets to it right away and solves it right away? I know you want everything, but let's just, if you can only pick one, which one would that be? A, immigration / the border. B, establish DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. That's what he's going to do today as well. In other words, clean out the entire federal bureaucracy, save us trillions, literally trillions of dollars, fire so many of these useless bureaucrats and all of this wasteful spending. Or C, end our national energy crisis by drilling on federal lands, offshore drilling, drill, as he said, baby drill. Which of these three do you want to see him sign the executive order first? A, immigration, the border. B, establish DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Or C, drill, baby, drill, end our national emergency crisis. You can vote on our webpage. WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner, KUHN as in National ER. You can also vote via X. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, KUHN as in National ER. Maureen in Braintree. Thanks for holding, Maureen, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff, and my deepest condolences to you and your family on the loss of your dad.
Thank you very much, Maureen.
I wish that you would put a D on that, because all of them. Today is Christmas, and just everybody is elated. Thank God this man is coming back, and I pray to God there's so many pens on that table to just get rid of what these past people did to every single one of us. And I thank you for your work on a daily basis.
Thank you, Maureen. Maureen, you're right. I really feel like it's Christmas. It's like I don't know which present to open first. The executive order he says he's signing today, that's going to revoke the security clearances of all of those, and these are, this is going to be John Brennan, this is going to be Clapper, this is going to be, all those, Andrew McCabe, all of these guys that lied about Hunter Biden's laptop. He says they're going to lose their security clearance like this today. Are you happy? Is this the kind of stuff you wanted to see from Trump?
Rogers.
I'm sorry, Maureen, could you repeat that? I think we lost you.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Maureen, are you worried at all about security today? I'm getting a lot of emails it's been about 2 or 3 days now. People, they're happy. They're looking forward to everything. It's almost like a party atmosphere, but they keep saying, I don't trust the deep state. I don't trust these anti-never Trumpers. And I do fear for him today. Are you fearful, or do you think now that it's moved indoors, pretty much now his security people can really have his back?
Have his back. Today is a beautiful day, and let them stay in there and let them be warm.
I'm with you. Maureen, I'm with you.
This man that's coming to the table today is a different man than what he was. Awesome in the past, but this man coming to the table today is a different man. Thank God.
Maureen, very well said. Very well said. He comes in wiser. He comes in a sense, bloodied, battered, but unbowed. And he's coming in even tougher. And you can see on him the maturity. What I mean by this, the political maturity. Notice the cabinet picks. He's not taking any chances anymore. He's not, there's no Paul Ryan this time. There's no, you can run. There's no Bill Barr. There's no, none of these people, the Mike Pences, the Jeff Sessions, no. This time, look who he understands also. He can't do everything. Ironically, he's been humbled. And I mean by the 2 assassination attempts, and he just sees, look, I can't carry everything on my back. I just can't. For this to work, I got to put together a team of, the best and the brightest who are dedicated to their specific portfolios. And if everybody, as Bill Belichick said, just do your job. And if everybody does their job, we're going to keep winning. This is an unstoppable juggernaut. Maureen, thank you very much for that call. Look, here's my prediction. Again, barring something unexpected. Trump is going to have a spectacularly successful presidency. And his second term, if you can believe it, will even be better than his first term. And his first term was an incredible term. 617. But that's my opinion. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mel in New York. Thanks for holding, Mel. And as always, welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How are you today? And
Very
happy inauguration
honestly,
day.
I thought Maureen said it best. It really doesn't it feel like Christmas, Mel? I feel like a kid again.
Feels like New Year's. Tell you the truth. Christmas, New Year's all roll up in one. America's tradition. Yes. But you know, Jeff, I'm sorry, you got to laugh a little bit, but you know, I keep hearing about what the president wants to do as far as really.
Mel, can you do me a favor? We can hardly hear you. Can you take yourself off speaker? Pick up the phone, please.
I'm going to stall with a horse, Jeff. There's no bedding on the floor to muffle the echo. And I'm getting ready to get out.
I understand. All right, go ahead, Mel.
Okay, yes. Okay, but yeah, I don't hear anything about our infrastructure, like our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our airports. I always hear about, all the things that really don't pertain to what is going to bring back a thriving economy. You're going to have freight and food moving all over the place, all over our roads, our bridges, our tunnels. And I tell you, I'm down here in New York on the island, and oh my God, and this is a major, in the metropolitan area. And if you're not careful, you're going to wreck your car on these roads down here. That's how bad it is. But that's typical all over the country. But without our infrastructure being rebuilt and money thrown into those projects of rebuilding our infrastructure, what's the sense of drilling and everything else that goes along with the thriving economy
point.
without the roadway? But still, now Jeff Besson. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Mel, I agree with you. I think that's a very, very perceptive point. You're right. Look, he's going to drill, and it's going to lower inflation. I'm telling you, guaranteed. And you're right. The economy is going to boom. There's no question. But if we don't have the roads, and we don't have the bridges, and we don't have the highways to move all this freight, and it's going to be a lot of freight. Truck drivers are going to be making a lot of money the next 4 years, and God bless them. They deserve it. But if the infrastructure is horrible, you're right. We can drill and drill till the cows come home. And I agree with you. He's going to have to put together, unlike what Biden did, which was essentially a Green New Deal scam. Okay, it was all, wind and solar and all these, it was one boondoggle after another. He's going to have to pour money, a lot of money, into shovel-ready infrastructure jobs. Actual highways, roads, airports, bridges. In a way, we have to rebuild our country. That's literally what Trump's job. He's a builder. He's a construction guy. That's his task. He's going to have to rebuild this country. And look, as a good dear friend of mine texted me maybe 30 minutes ago, he said, Jeff, and I think this is a really apt analogy. Jeff, we're like a Revolutionary War farm, a colonial farm. The enemies have come. They've burned it to the ground. They've pillaged. They've destroyed. We got to rebuild. We've got to rebuild. And that's Trump's mandate. And that's why I'm looking at all these executive orders. I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I told you, it's like Christmas. I don't know which gift to open first. Seal the border. Bang. Start deportations. Bang. Start massive drilling. Bang. Establish Doge. Bang. Start going after the deep state. Bang. It's one after the other after the other. He's almost like a doctor or a surgeon. You got a patient riddled with, cuts and bullet holes and you're like, okay, we'll take this one out. All right. Then we take this one out. Okay. Let's take this. And you can feel the body is starting to heal. So he hasn't even been inaugurated yet. And you can already sense the optimism in the country. As I said at the beginning, our long national nightmare is finally over. Mel, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Rich in Natick. Thanks for holding, Rich, and welcome.
And Jeff, I'd like to throw into that list give the Kuhner man the Medal of Freedom.
Oh, thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. I just want the J6ers. Honestly, I just want the J6ers pardoned. Again, that's my only thing. On my wish list, I mean, I love everything that he's doing, don't get me wrong. But on my personal wish list, they've been rotting in that gulag for way too long. And to his credit, at the D.C. rally, he said there's going to be a lot of pardons coming on day one. And so a lot of people need to go home and be with their families, and I hope this happens today. Rich, please keep going.
Yes, to pick what's my top, the top thing for these executive orders. I'm picking border and immigration / fentanyl. That's my number one pick because of the 250,000 people that have been killed by fentanyl in the last 4 years, not to mention the other people that have been killed by illegal immigrants in different ways. I got a little bit of a cold, so excuse me. And yes, I agree. It was like Christmas morning today. I had a hard time sleeping last night. My adrenaline was pumping. I was so excited. And I looked out the window this morning and saw the snow. And if it wasn't for the cold weather and the shrinkage involved, I'd be outside doing naked snow angels.
And just to complete the analogy, I mean, Trump's like Santa Claus, you know? That's what it is. Rich, look, from everything I'm reading, and his team they've corroborated this. Rich, he's gonna declare a national emergency on the U.S. southern border. They're gonna seal it completely. They're shutting the border down. He's gonna put troops along the border. They're gonna reinstate remain in Mexico. No illegals gonna come in. From what I've been reading now, the last 24, 48 hours, I don't know if you've seen these stories, Rich, many illegals here in America are starting to leave. They're self-deporting. They're saying, we'd rather leave on our terms than have the government, raid and put us on a plane. And so we're just leaving. We're out. Bye. We know our days are numbered. So all the migrants have stopped coming. So so he's going to reinstate remain in Mexico. He's going to completely terminate catch and release. That's gone. And he's tasking the military, and they've got a very short time frame to completely finish the entire wall along the southern border. And Tom Homan, starting tomorrow, is going to hit 24 major cities. And by the way, Boston is one of them. New York, Chicago, Atlanta, there are many others, but Boston is going to be one of them. There are going to be massive raids by ICE involving 100 to 200 ICE agents per major city, and they're going to start deporting, arresting, detaining, and jailing a lot of these criminals and illegal alien gangbangers. I mean, Rich, he's going to start fulfilling promises within a matter of minutes after he's sworn in.
Make America great again. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you. And look, and President Trump is going to do this. This is going to require an act of Congress. Okay? So he can't do it with an executive order. But you really want to drive millions of illegals out. And it won't cost us a penny. They'll self-deport. Really make it a severe punishment for any employer to hire an illegal. And I don't mean just a slap on the wrist. You throw in a massive fine, even jail time. And suddenly, if the illegals can't get a job, and we start putting in the screws on welfare benefits to illegals, because technically it's illegal. They're doing it. The Dems are doing it, but it's illegal. It's illegal to give welfare benefits to illegal aliens. If we start cracking down on welfare abuse, and you tie that in with just sanctioning employers, punishing employers for hiring illegals, if they have no job, and they have no money, and they have no income, and they have nowhere to stay, they're going to go home. Well, Jeff, how do they do that? the same way they came in. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Lines are, forget loaded, they're screaming. Out of joy, I believe. Tommy in West Virginia. Thanks for holding, Tommy, and welcome.
Good morning, America!
Happy Inauguration Day, Tommy.
Thank you. And your callers, Marilyn from Maryland, I believe her name is.
Maureen
from Maryland. Excuse me. Okay, well, the lady that always calls in from just your callers over the last 4 years have given me such.
Oh yeah, Barbara. No, you're talking about Barbara from Baltimore. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
She's one of my favorite, and Lou in Rhode Island is another one. Mel in New York. These people have given me hope for this last 4 years of this country being destroyed by progressive Democrats that really want socialism, and some of them actually want communism. But with regards, yes, seal the border, use the United States military, give Mexico 1 week. You either do something with your cartels drastically, or our military is going to pay them a visit the same way we paid Saddam Hussein a visit. Anyway, with the appointments that Trump has made, Pam Bondi, I was really impressed with her. And she was being grilled by Sheldon Whitehouse, a blue blood.
Tommy, can you hang on? I'm up against a hard break. I think the confirmation hearings have gone incredibly well. And I agree with you. Pam Bondi was superb. Absolutely superb. Hang on, Tommy. More with you, more with all of your calls. God damn him. May God damn him. Okay, this just broke right now over the wires, my friends. This is not a joke, okay? This is not a joke. You can tell by the tone of my voice. So please, whatever you're doing, I want all of you to brace yourselves for what Joe Biden just did. Damn him. I knew he's burning it all down on his way out the door. And I'm not just talking about the commutations and pardons for thousands and thousands and thousands of known drug dealers and gangbangers. Or trying to now claim that the ERA is the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. Trying to plunge this country into a constitutional crisis. Listen now, this just broke maybe 3 minutes ago. According to the Associated Press, according to CNN, and they're citing sources within the Biden team and the Biden White House. President Biden has issued preemptive pardons. Never in the history of our country has this been done. But in particular, here is the statement now. I'm just going by the Associated Press, CNN, and what they're reporting, okay? According to them, this is now what Joe Biden has written. This is Biden's statement to the nation. Quote, I have issued preemptive pardons, and this is why I am exercising my authority under the Constitution to pardon General Mark A. Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the members of Congress and staff who served on the Select January 6 Committee, and the U.S. Capitol and D.C. Metropolitan Police officers who testified before the Select Committee. The issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense. Our nation owes these public servants a debt of gratitude for their tireless commitment to our country. Well, if they did nothing wrong, so what is there to pardon? I don't need a pardon. To give you an example, I'm an innocent man. I didn't do anything wrong, so why would you pardon me? So what this SOB has now done, and I'm sorry, and I knew this, he was going to rain on our parade. He was going to rain on our parade and try to blow up the Trump presidency before it even begins. What he has now done is, to me, utterly unforgivable. You issue a preemptive pardon to Milley to cover your ass over the disaster and debacle in Afghanistan? You give Fauci a preemptive pardon for all the crimes that he has committed? Are you kidding me? Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson, Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin, all of those on the January 6th Select Committee who deliberately framed Trump and destroyed evidence? But I'll tell you what else he just did. Because he said anybody from the Capitol Hill Police or the Metropolitan Police who testified in front of the J6 committee, well, they get a pardon for anything they've done. You know who's one of those people? Michael Byrd, the police officer who shot Ashley Babbitt at point blank range right in the throat. So what he's just done is he's given a pardon to Ashley Babbitt's murderer. That's what he's just done. He's trying to protect every criminal part of his cabal with something that has never been used. It is unprecedented in American history. A preemptive pardon? He didn't even do that with his son. I mean, that was an outrageous pardon of over, covering a 14-year period. Okay, whatever, a 10-year period. Forgive me. That's over anything he may have done for 10 years. This is just a sweeping, preemptive pardon, period. Anything Milley's ever done, anything Fauci's ever done, anything Liz Cheney, anything they've done. And the reason why he's doing this is he's now desperately trying to protect the deep state, the swamp, and above all, to cover his rear end. And to make sure that none of these crimes can be traced back to him. My friends, I can't believe he just did this. Of all the destructive acts, this one may be the most destructive of all. Now, you tell me, how the hell do we have a constitutional republic after this? So a president now can wave his wand and preemptively pardon anybody in the country from anything? And notice, the pardon power is supposed to be used for a specific crime, a specific conviction, a specific charge. This, I pardon you like a Roman emperor. I pardon you for everything. Joey, blank off. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Always the skunk at the party. Joe Biden. I'm telling you, Joe the skunk Biden. Well, okay, so according to the Associated Press, according to CNN, Bloomberg now has the story as well. So it's coming out. I think it's going to really hit in about an hour. But apparently now this is what's being leaked. Joe Biden, and I have the statement, has now issued, this is unbelievable. As I said, damn him, a preemptive pardon for Milley, Fauci, everyone on the J6 committee, plus every Capitol Hill police officer, Metropolitan police officer that testified in front of the J6 committee, including Ashley Babbitt's murderer, Michael Byrd. Now, as Sandy and I were talking off air, this is a blatant, clear abuse of power. Yes, the president has the pardon power, but I've never heard, it's never been done before, a preemptive pardon. I mean, that's the act of an emperor. That's the act of a king. Honestly, that's the act of a dictator. Remember, you pardon someone for a specific conviction or a specific crime or a specific charge. But it's preemptive. It's everything. In other words, Milley, whatever he may have done, pardoned. Fauci, whatever he may have done, pardoned. Liz Cheney, whatever, done. Completely, you can't touch her for anything. Literally, for anything. Ashley Babbitt's murderer now walks away scot-free. And God knows anything else he did. Now, this is a blatant abuse of the pardon power. To me, this is clearly illegal. Sandy agrees as well. This is illegal, unconstitutional. And you want to talk about authoritarian. It's revenge on Trump. Number one now, it taints the entire day, or at least he's trying to taint the entire day. That's number one. And he's issuing the pardon as the ultimate middle finger to Trump. Because what he's saying, and in fact he pretty much said it, is I'm going to prevent Trump from engaging in a quote-unquote politics of revenge. So all these people that he thought he was going to go after, the deep staters, the criminal generals, war criminals like Fauci, all these people, the swamp, I pardon them. Ha ha! Joey! My advice to President Trump, have your speechwriters change a part of your inaugural address. Not all of it, obviously. It's very positive. It's very optimistic. It's very upbeat. It should be. But there now needs to be a paragraph inserted in there that my predecessor's blatant abuse of power and illegal, unconstitutional, dictatorial actions will be challenged to all the way to the Supreme Court and will be overturned. My advice to Trump and his team, I know you've got a super full plate. You need this like you need a hole in the head. You come out with a statement right away saying, I will not allow for a preemptive pardon. Hey, look, if I'm Donald Trump, think how stupid Joe Biden is. If I'm Donald Trump, I can just say, you know what? I preemptive pardon myself. But anything I've ever done, anything, pardoned, anything. And then say, anybody who works for my administration, preemptive pardon. And any of my supporters, preemptive pardon. Can you imagine what the libs would be saying, and rightly so? He needs to have Pam Bondi immediately after she's confirmed, challenge this to the courts, take it straight to the Supreme Court. No way this is going to stand. Now, you don't know with Chief Justice John Roberts, you don't know with Kavanaugh, and you certainly don't know with Amy Coney Barrett. So if they're threatened, if they're blackmailed, so who knows, okay? But this has got to go to the Supreme Court. This is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Remember how they tried to blow up Trump's presidency with the Russia collusion hoax? And they booby-trapped his administration? This is the mother of all booby traps. You try to investigate Afghanistan, and it leads to Milley, you can't touch him. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. tries to investigate what happened under COVID, it leads to Fauci, you can't touch him. You want to go on about what really happened on January 6th? You want a true investigation? You can't touch the J6 committee. You want to expose the crimes of the deep state? You can't touch them. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Agree, disagree. It's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day. Sponsored. We're going to change the poll question. We're doing a second poll question, okay? So here's the second poll question, and it's sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Should Trump's Justice Department, i.e. really Attorney General Pam Bondi, should Trump's DOJ challenge Biden's preemptive pardons of Milley, of Fauci, of Liz Cheney, of Schiff, of everybody? A, yes. B, no. You know where I stand. I am an A, holy mackerel. Challenge it the second you're sworn in. The second you're sworn in. Take this to the highest court in the land ASAP. But I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner, KUHN as in National ER. You also can vote via X. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, KUHN as in National ER. I want to go back to Tommy in West Virginia. Tommy, I know we held you over a bit long, but this is massive breaking news. It's the biggest story in the world right now. Tommy, I want to ask you, and I want to ask all of you in the audience. Does the president have the power of preemptive pardons? Not pardons, but a preemptive blanket pardon. Can the president pardon someone for everything, anything? And I gotta ask this. Isn't this fundamentally an admission of guilt? Milley is guilty. Fauci is guilty. Liz Cheney is guilty. They're all guilty. And that's why he's just given them this preemptive pardon. Tommy, your reaction, go.
Alice Cooper said it best, President Trump. No more Mr. Nice Guys. You take off the goddamn gloves and you fight bare knuckle this time. Now, Jeff, I brought up Pam Bondi, and listen to what Sheldon Whitehouse said to her when he was questioning her in the Senate committee. These are his exact words. It would not be appropriate to start with a name and look for a crime. He then says, it's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name. Correct? Question mark? What did Letitia James and Alvin Bragg say as they ran for their elected state offices? They said, we're going to go after Trump. There were no crimes at that point when Trump was president and when they ran for office, okay? No, it's time for a goddamn civil war in this country. This is unbelievable. I can't, my blood pressure is through the roof right now.
Oh, Tommy, the whole country is. Tommy, I got to tell you, it's not just you, it's not just this audience, and it's not just Trump supporters. I'm telling you, many, many liberals, many, many Democrats cannot believe Joe Biden has done this. What he has now done, and that's why it's got to be challenged. It's got to be challenged. He's now essentially, he's overturned our constitutional system of government. What he's done is, he's basically said the president now is an emperor. The president can pardon anybody and anything. Blanket, sweeping, anything. They might have done, they may not have done. I've never seen this before. I mean, this is the, and Trump's the dictator? Holy mackerel. Tommy, he's got to reverse that executive order. Sorry, he's got to come out and overturn that pardon. Forgive me. Forget everything else. His first thing, his people, his age, should be writing up an executive order where he comes in and says, I'm overturning that pardon. And take me to court. Let's go to court. Right to the Supreme Court. No way in hell does this pass constitutional muster. This is beyond outrageous. Tommy, thank you very, very much for that call. 617-266-6868. 68 is the number. And notice, they're trying to paint Trump as this wannabe revenge, vengeful dictator. So Joey has to protect all of these criminals. If Milley's an innocent man, what are you afraid of? If Fauci did everything by the book and he's above board, what are you afraid of? If the January 6th committee, if you guys committed no abuses of power and no crimes, what are you afraid of? He's trying to protect the swamp so Trump can't drain the swamp. Agree, disagree, your calls next. 749 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Biden has done it. He has now crossed the Rubicon. Or to be more accurate, Obama has done it. To me, I'll be honest with you, this has the hand of Obama written all over it. Biden has been signing all kinds of pardons, commutations. We're talking thousands and thousands of notorious drug dealers, drug traffickers, violent career criminals, gangbangers, and he's releasing them all to the streets. I mean, as I said, he's burning it all down on his way out the door. Well, he's now taking it to a massive new level. So, according to Bloomberg, CNN, MSNBC, Associated Press, they have a statement from Biden whereby Biden now says he has just issued unprecedented a series of preemptive pardons for Milley, for Fauci, for Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, everybody on the January 6th committee, Michael Byrd, the guy that shot Ashley Babbitt. It is a lot of people now have just been given a preemptive pardon by Biden for everything and anything. Literally anything. And Milley has now reacted. So the parade general has now reacted. And he now says that he and his family are, quote unquote, deeply grateful for Biden's action. And this is what he issued in a statement. After 43 years of faithful service in uniform to our nation, protecting and defending the Constitution, I do not wish to spend whatever remaining time the Lord grants me fighting those who unjustly might seek retribution for perceived slights, Milley said. I do not want to put my family, my friends, and those with whom I serve through the resulting distraction, expense, and anxiety. Right. You mean, as you admitted in your own memoirs, that you illegally usurped the chain of command on January 6th? And told everybody that they no longer, every general, every military officer, you don't obey orders from the commander-in-chief, Donald Trump? Everything must go through me? I am the commander-in-chief, not the president? Or is it when you picked up the phone and called your Chinese counterpart and said, don't you worry, if Trump orders an attack on China, I will give all of you a heads up? Or was it the disaster that became Afghanistan, which was your plan, your strategy, that blew up in everybody's face? And you don't want to be held accountable for any of this. But you see, notice that this doesn't apply to Steve Bannon. This doesn't apply to, I could run down the whole list, Peter Navarro. When you go after Trump's people, you don't care about whether they're public servants or whether they're anxious or whether it's a distraction or whether this is going to, cause them discomfort and anxiety in the remaining years that the Lord gives them. When you go after Trump people and Trump or General Michael Flynn, it's open season. Bankrupt them, destroy them, hound them, persecute them. And Sandy's completely right. She goes, Jeff, my God, think about the legal constitutional implications of what Biden has just done. From this point forward, literally, every president cannot just preemptively pardon himself. He can preemptively pardon his entire government. his entire cabinet, his entire administration. So no one will be held accountable for anything. That's why the pardon power, again, not to beat a dead horse, it's supposed to be used sparingly, number one. Number two, it is supposed to be specific and limited. A specific crime, a specific charge, a specific conviction. I've never seen this. Whatever. Everything, anything, I pardon thee. What is this guy, Caligula? Really, what is he, Julius Caesar? Trump has to declare the pardon null and void immediately. Forget whether his DOJ decides to go after Fauci or Milley or the J6 committee and by the way, he's going to pardon the J6ers. And they're worried now. They're very worried that they were unlawfully and illegally sent to prison, that the J6ers were framed. You see, they're trying to cover their ass. Pardon my French. This is CYA. It's got everything, himself and his band of criminals. It doesn't matter whether Pam Bondi decides to go after them or not. For the office of the presidency, for the rule of law, for the Constitution, for our republic, this cannot be allowed to stand. Just by this standard, Richard Nixon could have said, I pardon myself over Watergate, and I pardon everybody else involved. Ehrlichman, Haldeman, John Dean, everybody, everybody, Gordon Liddy, everybody gets a pardon. This is going to make corruption and abuse of power endemic in government. Because they'll say to each other, it doesn't matter what we do. We can steal, we can loot, we can engage in treason, we can engage in murder, we can engage in any crime we want. Last day, 6 hours before the new president is sworn in, blanket pardon for everybody. This will turn us into an authoritarian mafia state. That, I'm telling you, like an Eastern European dictatorship, where the strong man just says, no, my people above the law. They can do whatever they want to do. And you can do nothing about it. Trump needs to challenge this ASAP. He needs to declare it null and void. First order, null and void. Let's go to court. And Pam Bondi, the DOJ, they have to go after this all the way to the Supreme Court. And now the question is this, okay? Because this is incredibly stupid politically. No one is going to support this. No one with half a brain is going to support this. What are they hiding? What did you know and when did you know it? What are you hiding now about Milley? What are you hiding about Fauci? What are you hiding about Liz Cheney? What are you hiding about Adam Schiff? What are you hiding about the J6 committee? What are you hiding about those Capitol Hill police officers? That they framed Trump? You want to protect the people that gave the orders for them to open the door and let everybody in? You want to protect the people that beat Roseanne Boylan to death? You want to protect that coward Byrd who shot Ashley Babbitt in the throat? This, whatever he says, is an admission of guilt. If someone is innocent, they don't need a preemptive pardon. This is an admission that everything we have said about Milley, about Fauci, about the J6 committee, everything about January 6th itself and the behavior of the Capitol Hill police, all of it we've now been vindicated. And now they're trying to sweep it under the rug. They're trying to give themselves post-legal immunity. That's what this is. Because in the end, the ultimate godfather was Joey. Afghanistan, Joey. The J6 committee, Joey. The lockdowns, the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates, covering up for the Wuhan lab in China that we were funding, Joey. His Chinese paymasters, they don't want the crimes of Fauci to be exposed because it leads right back to Beijing. Joey! That's why he's issued these preemptive pardons. I'm sorry, he's a piece of, I almost said it. You know what I was going to say. It's a POS. Absolute disgrace. Disgrace. 617-266-6868 is the number. If this guy was reincarnated as an animal, I'm telling you, he'd come back as a skunk. Not even a snake. He's a skunk. Everything he touches, he sprays, and it smells like, like garbage. Stinks. Everything stinks with this guy. 617-266-6868. I'm sorry, the man is a human walking skunk. Jeff in Abington. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Oh, my thunder, because I was going to say go after Fauci, because to this day, in my 70 years, in the United States of America, I thought something like that would never happen. And Jeff, we got to do something about public radio and public television. It's awful. They control a wide audience. Their message is always lefties, lefties, lefties. Is there anything we can do about that?
Well, I know that Trump wants to defund NPR, which I agree with. They shouldn't get a dime in taxpayer funding. But I got to tell you, really, CNN's ratings have completely plummeted. I mean, really, CNN's ratings are in the toilet. Like, for example, this show has I have many more people who listen to this show around the country than CNN has viewers. It's not even close. MSNBC, the same thing. NBC's ratings are in the dumpster. I mean, they're going out of business. And I don't know I don't want to get too sidetracked here, Jeff. CNN just got hit again. They lost a major defamation case. This was maybe, 4 or 5 days ago? They smeared Zachary Young was his name. And he's an American who literally was rescuing people out of Afghanistan. Okay, speaking of Milley in Afghanistan, Americans that were left behind. He went in there and he was rescuing them. CNN, to protect Biden and Milley, defamed him, saying he was a war profiteer, working in the black market, extorting people for money. It was all lies. They literally lied about this man. His motives, what he did, what he was charging, everything. And the jury said, you better settle. By the way, right away they lost $5 million, but that's peanuts. The jury said, you're going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Settle, or we'll settle for you. I think now CNN's going to be out $150 million. They may not even financially recover from this. And it was Jake Tapper who led the charge at CNN to go after Zachary Young. So what I'm saying is they're being sued. By the way, CBS now, you remember how they edited that tape, that interview they did with Kamala Harris? And she was utterly incoherent. And they edited it and edited it and edited it to make her seem semi-coherent. That was direct election interference. That's against the law. CBS now, Trump sued him. CBS is now talking about a multi-billion-dollar settlement. Billions. So their shoddy journalism, their rabid hatred for Trump, and their desire to become mouthpieces for the Democratic Party, not only are they losing ratings, but literally now they're being sued again and again. They're going out of business. That's what Trump has done to them. He's bankrupting them. So honestly, Jeff, I'm not worried anymore about the media, and I'm not worried about public radio, although they do a lot of damage. I agree with you. What I'm concerned about now is the damage that Joe Biden is doing on his way out the door. And this is the final blow. Look, I got to say this. I don't agree with Obama on much. I really don't. But on Biden, I agree with him. Remember what he nicknamed him? I can't say it on the air. The F up. He always said this in private. The F up. He F's everything up. And my God, is he effing things up on the way out. Final word to you, Jeff.
There, who just are blind to, and I know a lot of them, and I'm talking people in the medical field, and they're just blind to everything, and they just believe what they see on television. But just the public TV really irks me because our voices are never heard, and they get public money. The last thing on public radio that was public TV was the McLaughlin Group, and that's long gone. So that just bugs me.
Oh, you're right, Jeff. No, it's criminal. It's wrong. If you're going to take public money, you have to give, all points of view a chance to express themselves. And public radio is radical far left-wing radio. NPR is very far left. So defund them. Not a penny. And they keep claiming for years, well, most of our money is private. But if most of your money is private, then what do you need public money for? So, okay, you guys apparently are raising so much money on your own. Go ahead. Not a cent more in taxpayer dollars. Defund them completely and see if you have a good enough product to stand on your own. I'm telling you, Jeff, if you defund them, they'll go broke like every other one of them. CNN is going broke. MSNBC is going broke. They're all going broke. Jeff, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. John in Kentucky. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hi, Jeffrey Kuhner. I want to say, I'm sorry about your daddy. I'd rather say daddy instead of dad. I'm sorry about your daddy.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, John.
Okie dokie. And I want to say I agree with you what Trump ought to do. And also, when you need, and I want to say liberalism is no more a mental disorder. It's communism, a mental disorder. Liberalism is no more mental disorder. Just communism, mental disorder. Please tell to Michael Savage that communism is now taking over the mental disorder instead of liberalism.
Well, liberalism now has morphed into communism. I think there's no question. You're completely right, John. And, as you know, Michael Savage in many ways was my radio mentor. And he coined the phrase, liberalism is a mental disorder, and he's right. And he said for years that there were fifth columnists within our government working to undermine and subvert the United States. He was completely right. And, again, to give Michael his due, he was one of the few that said Joe Biden will be the worst president this country's ever had. And again, he's been proven prophetic. And what you're seeing now, and this is why I'm seeing red, and anybody, look, if you fled Venezuela, communist Venezuela, and there are many who did and they voted for Trump, communist Cuba, same thing, the big, Cuban-American community in Florida, they're seeing red too. Those that, whose parents, like mine, fled communist Eastern Europe. This is literally straight out of the communist page book. Their playbook. This is a page out of their playbook. That's what they're doing right now. Which is they pardon themselves and they pardon their cronies. And it's like these blanket pardons. But they say they're innocent. So everybody says, well, what do you need a pardon for? Well, it's our enemies. Our enemies are out to get us. Well, what are you afraid of an investigation? You investigate everybody. Suddenly now you can't be investigated. I'm sorry, you guys are always above the law. Always above the law. Never held accountable. And I'm telling you, John, this is the act of a communist apparatchik, of a communist dictator. He's essentially pardoning himself and pardoning everybody in his administration. In essence, he's tying Trump's hands. So you want to drain the swamp? No way. The swamp can do whatever it wants. And, you take Fauci. You want to murder people? No problem. You want to lie to Congress under oath? No problem. You want to illegally misuse and misappropriate American funds and literally fund a biological weapon, and that's what COVID was? Do gain-of-function research in a lab in collaboration with our mortal enemy, Communist China, and millions of people die? No problem. We got you. Hey, we'll give you a blanket pardon. Don't worry about it. Unconscionable. Unconscionable what he's just done. Trump needs to nix it and nix this now. John, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. And I got to tell you, I'm sorry. Now the speech writers have to earn their money because the speech has already been written. And excerpts have been leaked. And it's a brilliant speech. It's a very hopeful, positive, uplifting, almost Reagan-esque speech where he's talking about an era of national success, an era of national greatness. There's very little, negativity or finger pointing or, he could have been much harder on Biden. But, it was a failure. Let's turn the page. Now, after this, he's got to put at least a paragraph or two in there. And if Biden is near him, he's got to look at him right in the face and say, I will not allow this country to descend into an authoritarian mafia state because that's a gangster state. Because this is political gangsterism. What do you guys? You guys are above the law now? You guys can do whatever you want and no one's allowed to touch you? Because you abuse the presidential pardon power? So Trump has to push back and push back hard. Just my opinion. Agree, disagree. Should Milley, Fauci, Liz Cheney, the entire J6 committee, every Capitol Hill police officer involved on January 6th, should they all be given blanket preemptive pardons? What else is he going to do? What else is he going to do on his way out the door? As many of you are texting the Kuhner man, I can't wait for noon. Jeff, he's still got 3 hours and 40 minutes. What else is Dementia Joe going to do on his way out? 8:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. For those of you just tuning in, saying, wow, what's Kuhner talking about? Joe Biden in the early hours, in fact, maybe, an hour ago, Sandy? Hour and a half ago? It's now breaking. It's everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Has done the unthinkable. He has issued blanket preemptive pardons. Unprecedented. This has never been done before. To Mark Milley, Tony Fauci, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin, the entire January 6th committee, the entire Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, the entire Capitol Hill Police Department, anyone who testified in front of the J6 committee. All of them now are being pardoned for anything and everything they may have done in their entire life. It is a grotesque and a shocking abuse of power. Really, as I said on X just maybe 5 minutes ago, as I posted while we were off air, it is the act of a corrupt dictator. A complete perversion and abuse of the presidential pardon power that now seeks to limit Trump and his ability to drain the swamp and to hold people in Washington, especially criminals and corrupt leaders, accountable. Constitutionally, legally, it is now an absolute nightmare. If this precedent stands, and this is now my fear, presidents can pardon their entire administration. They can pardon any member for any possible crimes committed under the sun. We are no longer a constitutional republic. We are a gangster state, with the president now effectively as emperor. Now, many of you are going to say, Jeff, hold on now. Whoa, Kuhner man, aren't you overstating this? You know, George Washington had the pardon power. Yes, the pardon power was always to be used sparingly, and it had to be specific, limited, and focused. You pardon a specific crime, a specific charge, a specific indictment, a specific penalty or punishment. What has never happened in this country is a blanket pardon. And according to him, in the statement that Biden issued, he said, and don't take this as an admission of guilt. Don't take this as a public admission of wrongdoing. So we're pardoning people, even though you claim they're innocent, and giving them full immunity for anything they may have done in their entire life? Holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. That means they can never be held accountable for anything. Literally anything. 617-266-6868. And let me show you how it is an admission of guilt. Because Milley is now publicly thanking Biden. Fauci, that weasel, that snake, is thanking Biden. Liz Cheney is thanking Biden. They just realized they just escaped the arm of justice. 617-266-6868. Bruce in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bruce, and welcome. Oh, today is, you got it, Bruce. This is, Bruce, this is unbelievable.
Let me just say this. This is Martin Luther King Day. It's not April Fool's Day, right? I mean, this guy would pardon James Earl Ray, for Christ's sake. I want to swear so bad. I want to drop the F-bomb and get kicked off the radio for a year. I don't give a crap. I am sick of this now. This is ridiculous, Jeff. We're in this is communist China right here in our face. And he's doing this just because he can. Well, he can't. And I hope Trump, like you said, I hope Trump squashes him like a little worm that he is. And I'm just sick of these liberal communist liberalism. We got to find a cure for this. Jeff.
Well, we're the cure, Bruce. Honestly, we're the cure. And look, Trump's got to draw the line today. Today, he's got to draw. Look, I think Biden, ironically, has given him a big opening now. Trump now can say, you know what? I'm done. The gloves are coming off. The gloves are coming off. More next. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Sandy, again, I thought made an absolutely excellent point, which is, why did Biden wait practically? I mean, I know technically there's still 3.5 hours left to go, but for the most part, to the last second. Okay, last minute. Here, let's put it that way. Why did Biden wait till the absolute last minute to do this? Had he done it on Friday, had he done it even on Saturday or even Sunday, I mean, this would have blown up everywhere. Everywhere. But he waited till Monday morning. Today is Martin Luther King Day. Most people have the day off. So they're not really paying attention. Plus, you know, you look at the media, like, for example, Sandy made the point about Fox News. Do you know that at least on their Chiron, Fox News has yet to even mention this story? Because everybody's focused on the inauguration. Everybody. It's all inauguration coverage. Fox now for the last, hour or hour and a half is Trump's at Blair House. He's waiting to leave, to go to the rotunda, to deliver his to be sworn in and deliver his inaugural address. So all eyes are on the inauguration, the pageantry, the swearing in, what's Trump going to say in his speech. So you don't have the A-team working in much of the media today because it's Martin Luther King. Many are off. And those that are working are fixated on the inauguration. So it's a perfect time to sneak it in. And they hope by sneaking it in that somehow most Americans won't pay attention. They're either on, taking the day off, or they're going to look at the inaugural and the inauguration and the inaugural address, and somehow this will go by the wayside. So this was very cynical, very Machiavellian, very well thought out and planned by Biden and especially his people. Now, ironically, I agree with what many of you are saying on Messenger, in my email. My email is filling up, and many of you are making excellent points. And, of course, on the text line. This is now a win-win for Trump. Ironically, again, the Democrats have really overplayed their hand. One, it's a massive admission of guilt. If you're innocent, you don't need a pardon. If you haven't been charged with anything, you haven't even been investigated for anything. Literally, nothing has happened. Why do you need to be issuing all these blanket preemptive pardons? Furthermore, so it's an admission of guilt. In other words, everything we said and everything Trump said has now turned out to be true. Again, we've been vindicated. But furthermore, think about it. This is so unpopular. This is so constitutionally and legally outrageous, so unprecedented, frankly, so shocking and so corrupt. It cements Biden's reputation as the worst president in American history. There's no question. And it gives Trump now even more of a mandate. He's going to turn around and address the country and say, look, they're trying to hide their crimes behind the abuse of the pardon power. This is how duplicitous and evil and corrupt the swamp is. And the country's going to say, my God, you're right. So now Trump can really go on offense. And look, my personal opinion, and again, I got to hedge it a little bit, because I don't trust Chief Justice Roberts, and I don't trust Amy Coney Barrett, because she can be easily scared and intimidated. I don't see how this passes. There's no way in hell this is going to pass constitutional muster. I won't be shocked if even a couple of the liberal justices say, you can't just start issuing preemptive pardons. Are you insane? Because one of them or two of them is going to be smart enough to realize, well, Trump then can do the same thing. Yeah, any Republican can do the same thing. They can pardon themselves. They can pardon their whole government. They can pardon the whole administration for everything and anything. It's a banana republic. We'll become literally a banana republic. So, I think he's going to take it to the Supreme Court. He should. And I think he'll win. And I got to tell you, Biden really, look, he's always come across as stupid. But you know where Hunter got his brains from. I got to say it. You wonder, how is Hunter that stupid? He's really, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. He's a chip off the old block. He's as stupid as the skunk. He's as stupid as his old man. This is unbelievably stupid. And the Democrats have to defend this? Here, Schiff, realizing how politically toxic this is, Schiff has now come out and said, I don't want the pardon. I don't believe him. He's getting the pardon. But even he, for public consumption's sake, is saying, no. And because everyone's already saying, well, what are you guilty of? Why do you need a preemptive pardon? Hey, piece of Schiff, if you're so innocent and fair-minded and honorable, what do you need this? So some of them are saying, we don't want the pardon, we don't need the pardon, because even they know this is political poison. So in the end, ironically, he thinks he may be hurting Trump, restraining Trump, tying Trump down. He may have just given him now another massive weapon to undo everything that Biden has done. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, super quick. This is from Sergeant Rock on Messenger. Jeff, with these sweeping, blanket, preemptive pardons, Joe Biden has finally cemented his legacy and will go down as the worst president in American history. Bingo. No question now. I don't think there was any doubt before, but if there was any, even a scintilla of doubt, that's now gone. Absolutely gone. He's the worst. No question. This is from Michael, and Michael makes a really, really interesting point. Good morning, Jeff. Fauci, Milley, and all the others now can't hide behind the Fifth Amendment. They can now be investigated and brought before Congress for a hearing for what it's worth. In other words, they can no longer claim, against self-incrimination because I could be charged. I could go to jail. They can't hide behind the Fifth Amendment. That's what Fauci in particular has been trying to do. Now, well, no, you've been preemptively pardoned, so you have no excuse. Get your ass in front of Congress under oath, and if you lie, the pardon doesn't cover you. Now we want to know everything. Now, they can't go to jail for all their crimes, but their crimes can now be fully exposed, fully unmasked. And so, again, and Trump's going to push him. Trump's going to push him to say, you know what now? The gloves are coming off. Investigations for all of them. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Do the pardons in the end, in your view, do they hurt Trump, or ironically, do they end up helping Trump? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Okay, let's go to Nancy on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Nancy, and welcome.
Oh, good morning, Jeff. That last text you read about the Fifth Amendment, that was part of what I was going to go and talk about. But my opinion, this all goes back to the Herr report. If you were declared non-compos mentis, you're not of sound mind. This act should be not legal.
I agree.
And also,
that's a brilliant point. That's a brilliant point.
It is. My point is, too, yesterday in the New York Times, they listed his 6 protectors. No one could get into that office because they knew he was not capable of even carrying on a decent conversation. The names are in the New York Times, and I think Trump also should deny Secret Service protection for anyone that's pardoned. And he can do that and go after every single Democrat who supported this, every single one of them. if they are pardoned, and this is what I want to get to, they forfeit the Fifth Amendment rights. All these people that are pardoned should go before Congress, and they can't lie. They'll end up in prison for perjury. And that's all I have to say.
Nancy, I love it. Best audience in the business. Nancy, thank you very much for that call. Look, you're right. Trump's got to take the gloves off now. Really, this is that they've just crossed the line with this. And ironically, he's given Trump a big opening. If I'm Trump, take it. And non compos mentis, Trump should argue that and say this is all null and void. 8:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, as I'm telling everybody off air, you know, just when you thought you can't hate Joe Biden enough. You know, really. You know, you think how much I can't hate this guy anymore. He does this. He does this. As I said off air, a complete piece of, I can't say it, crap, like POS. It's unbelievable. This is from, by the way, text line. It's going nuclear. You can text us 70470. This is from 508. Jeff, these pardons are essentially represent an admission of guilt, but nothing can stop what's coming. I agree. He's so stupid. I'm telling you, had they done nothing, I think most Republicans would have said, come on, Donald, let's move on. Come on, we got bigger fish to fry. Come on, we got to deal with the border and inflation and peace and the war in Ukraine and, on and on and on. Now that he's done this, everybody in Congress, every Republican, urged on by us, is going to say, we want Milley thoroughly investigated, Fauci thoroughly investigated, the J6 committee thoroughly investigated, the police on Capitol Hill and what they did on that, that tragic day on January 6th, fully investigated. Now we're not going to let it go. This is from 917. Jeff, Biden and Obama, and it really was Obama, have set yet another precedent that can be used against themselves. And then finally, this is from 603. Jeff, I saw that story about the Village people singing at Trump's inauguration. Jeff, this is how bad the Democrats screwed up. They lost the Village people. No, I know. When I saw that, I'm like, boy, oh boy, Joey, you really effed it up for 4 years. The Village people are singing for Trump at his inauguration. 617-266-6868. Okay, Joe Biden, shocking move on his part. He has now issued, just a few hours ago, a blanket sweeping, it's unprecedented, preemptive pardon to Milley, to Tony Fauci, to Liz Cheney, to the entire January 6th committee, to all of the Capitol Hill police officers and metropolitan police officers who were involved in January 6th, and that includes the murderer of Ashley Babbitt and the murderer of Roseanne Boyland. But for Fauci, Milley, and all of them, any possible crime they may have done, may not have done in their entire lives has now been pardoned. It is the mother of admission of guilt. Agree, disagree, and it is the mother of the abuses of the pardon power. 617-266-6868. Should Trump declare it null and void? Should Trump demand that his DOJ challenge this to the Supreme Court immediately? I say yes. What do you say? And finally, as many of you have been saying, both on the calls and in the texts and in the emails. Joe Biden is clearly non compos mentis. He's clearly demented and has been for a long time. If he's not fit to stand trial, if he wasn't fit to run as their presidential nominee, then how can he be fit to be issuing these unconstitutional, illegal, and very destructive pardons? Senator Ron Wyden, staunch liberal Democrat, okay, he's got a book out, he's doing the book tour, has now admitted, and that's one of the people cited in the New York Times story, that in private, it was an open secret that Joe Biden was suffering from serious cognitive decline. Ron Wyden now is talking, many senators are now talking, and that Wyden says in private, he kept arguing, if Biden can't function off script, that's the term that Wyden used, saying he can't talk, he can't communicate, he's often lost, he doesn't know what he's saying, where he is. If you don't put a teleprompter in front of him, he's useless. Wyden said he should go. And that he wanted Biden to go for a year. And finally, after that historic debate with Trump on CNN, where Biden just completely mentally collapsed, he had no choice but to go. But what Wyden is saying, and remember, this is a Democrat, a liberal Democrat, that for at least the final year of Biden's presidency, he clearly saw, his staff saw, many senators openly saw, that he was not able to mentally or cognitively function as president of the United States. If that's the case, should this pardon be declared null and void? 617, or the series of pardons, null and void. 617-266-6868. Lines are jammed. Dan in Dartmouth. You're up next, Dan. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, I just want to give you my condolences for your dad.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have 3 points. Nancy did non-compos mentis. They need to go ahead and get him a cognitivity test within 24 to 48 hours of leaving office. Just pull him in, give him the test. Number one. Number two, we got to also look at everybody that's got a pardon. They need to leave government, the government now. They should no longer be able to work for the government. They need to get out of all their government positions. And number three, be prepared, because he might hand over the reins to Kamala, and then Kamala is going to go ahead and pardon Joe Biden before 12 o'clock noon. What do you think of that?
Well, that's my fear. I mean, this guy, look, this may be, look, I think it's over. I think, and to be brutally honest, I think this is it now. I think they're packing their bags and, they're on their way out. Okay. But no, yeah. Really, as one texter sent me, I'll just read it to you. He just sent it to me like 2-3 minutes ago as you were talking, Dan, just to reinforce your point. Okay. He says, so is he going to do a preemptive pardon for all of his kids? All of his family members? All of his grandkids? How about at the University of Pennsylvania, the Biden Center? How about Kamala? How about her husband? Really? I mean, we can go on and on. Like, who else is going to keep getting these preemptive pardons for everything and anything under the sun? Where does this end? And that's the scary thing. This has got to be reversed. Dan, I'm telling you, no, you can't have this stand for the sake of the, I know what the liberals are thinking. They're thinking, you guys just want to get Fauci, or you just want to get Milley. That's what it's all about. First of all, if Fauci is innocent, you shouldn't be worried. But he's guilty. You know what he did in Wuhan. You know how he lied. He admitted it. That whole social distancing, that was all made up to 6 feet. which led to the closing of all the schools. So you know he's guilty of sin. Okay, you know that. So why do you want to protect a man who's clearly guilty? But if he's innocent, what are you afraid of? No. What if Trump does this? Don't you look beyond your nose? You don't think Trump at the end of 4 years, if he wants, can say, okay, I pardon myself, everything, my children, everything, my entire government, everything, my entire cabinet, everything, whatever you may have done, your whole life, everything, preemptive pardon. And and this is Sandy's point, and she says, this is why I'm very worried. She goes, Jeff, this could now quickly become a precedent where it's almost like, yeah, well, now the president, when he leaves, and that's what they do in third world banana republics. When they're done, they pardon everybody. Everybody gets pardoned. All their cronies, all their collaborators, everybody, all their henchmen. And so is this what we're going to have now? This is going to be the new normal in the United States? So for the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of our Constitution, for the sake of, honestly, of our republic, this cannot stand. No, I feel sorry for Trump. The poor guy's in Blair House in a beautiful suit. This is supposed to be his day, and it is his day. He deserves this day. And he's like, and now Joey saddles me with this? Like on the way out the door, he saddles me with this garbage? My Justice Department already has a full plate. And now he's giving me this? I mean, really. You know, who would want the job of president? Like, we have to ask ourselves. That's why I really commend Trump. This is a mess. It's an absolute mess. And look at the abuse that he's taken and the daggers and everything he's had to endure just to clean up this mess. Then I think this is only going to make Trump stronger. I think it's only going to make his mandate clearer. And I think, to be honest, Joe Biden is going to go down as a clown, as an imbecile, and as the worst president we ever had. I think now there's no debating this. Am I wrong, Dan?
No, you're not wrong, but here's the other thing you have to take in consideration. If he doesn't pardon Obama, then they can't plead the fifth. All of this goes back to Obama, and they can bring it right back to Obama and expose the whole thing. That's what I hope. I
agree. No, he's too stupid to do this. This is the hand of Obama. The fingerprints of Obama are all over this. And I got to say this because, Dan, look, there have been multiple by Democrats, okay, or by reporters at the New York Times. Here, David Garrow, who's a liberal, okay, wrote the definitive biography on Obama. He's a big civil rights liberal. Okay, the last thing you would call this guy is a Republican or a conservative or the opposite. He's got chapter and chapter after chapter how Obama loved to mock Biden in front of everybody, at cabinet meetings, at social occasions. He would just mock him to his face, call him the F up, and everybody would laugh. And he'd say, if I want somebody to F it up, I call you. And they were all laughing at him. So Obama has had this history of using Joe Biden as his personal idiot or imbecile, where he'll do his dirty work, but have himself be degraded and mocked in the process. And honestly, if you look at the last 4 years, this was Obama's third term. And who enacted it? Biden. Who's being laughed at as he leaves? Biden. And he's done it to him one last time. This idiot now, I'm telling you, is a walking national joke. And after today, Biden has humiliated himself. Where's Jill? Where's his family? We say, hey, look, Joe, you're not signing this. Do you know how bad you're going to look doing this? If Obama wants to do it, tell him. You tell him to open his big mouth. So, Dan, I'm telling you, he's going to be the subject of scorn and ridicule, not just to the end of his days, but in the history books. With this, Biden has now cemented his legacy. He's a disaster. A disaster. And you're right. Obama made him do it. Dan, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. I mean, the whole relationship between Obama and Biden, it's sick. It's sick. It's like, like a masochistic relationship. You have, Joey is the submissive one, and Obama's like the dominatrix. And it's how much more can I inflict humiliation on Biden? And that's what you're seeing. 617-266-6868. But in the end, it's all about protecting this criminal cabal. And that's why these pardons, these preemptive pardons, have now been issued. Annie, I just have shore. So I'm assuming it's the South Shore. Yeah, because, Mike, I mean, why would you write the word South? You know what I mean? Like, why would you make my life easier, Mike? Annie on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Annie, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff, but I don't have any plans on going south. I'm going to kind of stay where I am.
Annie, what do you make of this?
Listen, I'm going to tell you something.
Annie, this morning when you got up, did you think that Joey was going to do this? Did you have any inkling?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you what. I don't think he's done. I don't think he's done, Jeff. I really don't.
Please don't say that. Please don't say that.
I'm telling you, I don't. And you know what? While I was sitting and listening to you, and I listened to Tom and I listened to Dan, I felt like Tom did. He was so angry and so mad and so upset and saying that, we should have a civil war in this country. Well, Jeff, here's the thing. I started to do a little bit of research, and right here in front of me it says that under the U.S. Constitution, the president has broad powers to pardon somebody before they are indicted, convicted, or sentenced for a federal offense against the United States. That's what it says. But as far as I am concerned, and most people that have any brains in their head whatsoever, Joe Biden is incompetent. Joe Biden is not making these decisions. It is Obama. Now, there's two ways of going about this. If this is, in fact, constitutional, and as a president, a sitting president, he can make this, there are two things that can be done. You either, after 12:01 today, I don't know if Biden's going to be up and in the rotunda, arrest him for treason against the country. Arrest him for treason against the country. Have him spill his beans about Obama. This has got to be taken down because the country cannot survive this. There are only so much that Donald Trump can do. And not only that, Jeff, but do you remember when they were, every Democrat, as far as I'm concerned, how do you trust any of them? Congress, Senate, I don't care where they are. You cannot trust any of them because this is what they have done to this country. So it's ironic that when Pam Bundy was sitting up there and being interrogated, Pam, will you follow an order from President Trump and go after somebody that he charges you to go after? Why was that sent out to Pam Bundy? Makes you think, doesn't it, Jeff?
Well, I think you're right. Look, I think there's no question that it was classic projection on the part of the Democrats. And I thought she handled herself extremely well. She said, I'm going to be impartial, and I'm going to follow where the facts, the evidence, the crimes, where justice leads me. But, as she turned it around. She said, well, that's what you guys did with Trump for 4 years. Literally, that's what you guys did. You literally said, there's our political opponent, go get him. Well, there's no crime. Find the crime. Go get him. So, no, look, I said this before. I think the position outside of vice president, the position of attorney general, look, all the positions are very important, but, we're talking about little, degrees of distinction. I think the AG position is going to be the most important because of everything that Joe Biden and Obama have done. The weaponization of our legal system, the politicization of our justice system, the perversion of our justice system, how corrupt the DOJ has become, how corrupt the FBI has become. Look at this. This is unbelievable. I mean, there should be massive resignations over this. You know, I want to know if the Office of Legal Counsel under Biden's DOJ approved this. I'll bet you the best stake they didn't. I bet you they went right around the Office of Legal Counsel. I guarantee it. No constitutional lawyer worth his or her salt would sign off on these insane pardons. These unprecedented, unconstitutional, illegal pardons. No way. No way. No way. So, you know, they're going on about lawlessness and following Trump. This is a lawless regime. And, you know, you may be right. Who knows? He's still got 3 more hours. What's he going to do in the next 3 hours? Annie, as always, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Whoever has the nuclear suitcase, if you're listening, please just keep it away from Joey, okay? Whatever you do. Come to my house, okay? My wife will make you a beautiful breakfast. My kids will entertain you. We'll keep you safe. Just keep it away from Joey for 3 hours. You can come to my house, okay? You can play with Rocky. Okay, Rocky, you'll lick your face and you'll have a great time with him, okay? Just keep it away from Joey. That's all I ask. Really, I can just see him. What the? Screw Putin. You know, let's send a nuke right into Moscow. Go, baby. How much time left, Mike? All right, I don't want to rush it with David in Linfield. Okay, quick reset, then I want to take all of your calls, Kuhner Country. Shocking news. It broke about a couple hours ago. It's now all over the world. Joe Biden has now abused his presidential powers. He has now given a blanket, sweeping, preemptive pardon to Mark Milley, Liz Cheney, Tony Fauci, the entire January 6th committee, every Capitol Hill police officer involved in January 6th, every Metropolitan police officer involved in January 6th. What should Trump do, if anything? Your calls next. 919 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. David in Linfield. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
For starters, I want to go back. Sandy made a point. I was thinking the exact same thing. Why wasn't this done months ago, or at least a month ago? It's because, of course, he wouldn't be able to have publicly defended it, given his lack of competency. He also has been saying repeatedly, no one is above the law, but apparently everybody is above the law if you're a Democrat. Third, pardon power is incongruous with prospective crimes. So I think the critical thing to think here is, you look at the American Heritage Dictionary, the accepted and universal definition of a pardon says the following. I'm going to read right from it. To release a person from punishment or disfavor for wrongdoing or a fault. Then it cites the legal definition. I don't have Black's Law Dictionary in front of me right now. I am a lawyer. But it says, to law, A, exemption of a convicted person from the penalties of an offense or crime by the power of the executor of the laws. B, an official document or warrant declaring such an exemption. Such an exemption. An exemption from what? An offense or crime. So this is now clearly a classic admission that there's been crimes committed, even though there has been no charges brought. And I want to make another quick point. Let's just think about this for a second and say, okay, so President Trump gets sworn in a matter of hours. He could prospectively issue a pardon, say at 12:15 this afternoon, for his entire cabinet and his entire administration for the next 4 years. Is that really what the pardon power is? And, of course, the answer to that is obviously not. So the next president could come in, engage in all kinds of criminal activity, federal crimes, and be exempt from ever being prosecuted. I mean, this cannot stand. It won't stand, definitions that are in a dictionary. I do this a lot when I have to defend clients or make a point. You go to the definitions and you put that in your briefs, and the judges their hands are tied because they cannot back down from an accepted universal definition. And that's what it is, a crime or an offense. We don't even have any of those at this point. So you can't prospectively pardon.
David, don't get me wrong. I only have eyes for my wife. But I love you in a non-sexual way, my friend. I couldn't have said it better myself. You're exactly right. You look at the definition of a pardon. You look at the history of pardons in the United States given by presidents. I mean, you're the lawyer, David. I know you know this better than I do. It's got to be a specific crime, a specific charge, a specific offense, a specific fault even. I get it. Okay, he hasn't been formally charged yet. But basically, they want to charge him for murder, or they're planning to charge him for murder. I've never seen anything like this. This blanket, this sweeping, this open-ended, this vague, whatever, everything, just everything. And by the way, it doesn't mean they're guilty or did any wrongdoing. I'm just saying, whatever they've ever done, it's all exempt. What? David, I gotta ask you, as a lawyer, do you think Trump's Department of Justice, will AG Pam Bondi take this to court? Will it go all the way to the Supreme Court? And will this be overturned?
I think she has to. I think it has to. We have to get this resolved. The pardon power cannot be considered to be so, wide open, overbroad. Just can't. Otherwise, like I said, we could have any kind of lawless administration come in and do some form of prospective pardon, and they can engage in all kinds of illegal wiretapping, surveillance, harassment, everything else, and are exempt from it. You've said it earlier today, about a banana republic. This is exactly where we'll end up. We are rapidly heading there. Unfortunately, under the Biden administration, we were basically already down that rabbit hole. Trump's going to turn it around. We have to. The Supreme Court must stand together, and it must be a unanimous decision. The prospective concept of a pardon is wrong. It's incongruous with the definition and accepted understanding of normal society. We don't do these things. If they were charged with something, that's different.
I so agree. You have no idea how much I agree. David, you've been absolutely brilliant. Let me just push you on one other point. And if you disagree, please let me know. To me, this reeks of dictatorial powers. In other words, don't dictators do this? You mentioned third world banana republics, but, isn't this something a king would do under a monarchy? Isn't this something a dictator would do, a strong man? Isn't this exactly the kind of power they would have?
Exactly. I mean, we've already seen this with the student debt cancellation, where he basically thumbed his nose at the United States Supreme Court. He basically said, they don't have any enforcement capabilities or power. As though, well, you can't do anything. You're just a bunch of people, dressed up in a black robe. Big deal. I have the army. I have the guns. Remember he said that stuff? I have F-15 fighters. That was against, white supremacists or January 6ers and all that stuff. The point is, that's a strong man. This is exactly what we've got in there, unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, only for a couple of more hours or so. But this has been a very frightening 4 years. I haven't heard this, but I wonder if Hillary Clinton was given a pardon for the 30,000 text messages and emails that she destroyed with a hammer and a bleach bit thing. I mean, talk about a criminal. There's a criminal right there. Gee, I don't know. Beyond
David, outstanding call. Outstanding call. David, please don't be a stranger. Call more often. Look, it's calls like this, really. That's why this show is heads and shoulders above others. I'm just being honest. 617-266-6868. Okay, Rand Paul has issued a statement about the pardon of Fauci, because as you know, Rand Paul was going to lead the investigation into Fauci. I don't want to rush it. I'm going to read it on the other side and then take more of your calls. But trust me when I tell you this, you want to hear what Senator Rand Paul has to say. Okay, we've got that. Your calls. Don't touch that dial. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, an avalanche now of responses. To say outrage is an understatement to Joe Biden's unbelievable, shocking, unprecedented decision to now issue preemptive blanket pardons to Milley, Fauci, Liz Cheney, the entire January 6th committee, every Capitol Hill police officer involved in January 6th, every Metropolitan police officer involved in January 6th. Here is what Rand Paul had to say, quote, "If there was ever any doubt as to who bears responsibility for the COVID pandemic, Biden's pardon of Fauci forever seals the deal. As chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, I will not rest until the entire truth of the cover-up is exposed. Fauci's pardon will only serve as an accelerant to pierce the veil of deception. Ignominious. Anthony Fauci will go down in history as the first government scientist to be preemptively pardoned for a crime." And so this is what I was saying maybe about an hour ago. I said, I think Biden has just made a big mistake because now he has supercharged, super hyper motivated people like Rand Paul to say, oh, you're going to cover for this guy? You're going to try to give him immunity and destroy our Constitution in the process? Now I'm going to really get him. And now I'm going to really unmask and expose him. And it's obvious. It's a clear admission of guilt. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just very, very quick. A lot of you are texting the Kuhner Man. So this is from 603. Jeff, if I were Pam Bondi, I would not take it to court. Prosecute. Let the accused take it to court. No more asking for permission. No more negotiating with the ridiculous. That's interesting. So just, you know what? Start arresting them. I don't give a damn about Joe Biden's pardons. They're not worth the paper they're written on. Okay, this is from 212. Jeff, F the executive order overturning the blanket pardons, and F the pardons themselves. When Kash Patel is in charge of the FBI, and he has some loyal agents, raid Milley, raid Fauci, Liz Cheney, SWAT style, as happened to the J6 political prisoners, put them in solitary confinement, and let them argue to the courts to let them out. So many of you are, you want to play hardball. Many of you are saying, Jeff, it's time to take the gloves off. Okay. This is from William on Messenger, and then I want to go right back to the phone lines. And he makes an outstanding point. Jeff, if Joe Biden was found by Robert Hur incapable of going to trial, how is it that he's capable of handing out pardons? William, as they say, touche. Touche. If you're not mentally fit enough to go to trial, if you're not mentally fit enough to be the party's presidential nominee, how the hell are you mentally fit enough to issue these crazy pardons? 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Kim in Milford. Thanks for holding, Kim, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you today?
Very good. I can't wait for noon. Can't wait for noon, Kim.
It's on your dad.
Thank you, Kim.
Couple things. I mean, Joe Biden himself said nobody is above the law in his final speech there, so he's for what, because, he's just, his mind is gone, And then if he does a cognitive test, ASAP, can the court overrule it saying that he was, not competent?
Well, Kim, they'll never allow it. I mean, Jill will never allow it. Hunter will never allow it. Obama would never allow it. His people around him would never allow it because, and this was Trump's argument in that infamous debate, as he said, it was a very powerful line. He pointed to him and he said, look at him. He goes, frankly, he shouldn't be on the stage with me. I don't know if you remember that, but he goes, he's gone. He goes, I'm sorry, but it's an insult to the country to have him as our president. So, Trump, this was in June, and he goes, just look at the guy. I mean, he's gone. He's non compos mentis. So, and Ron Wyden, again, I want to rehash old ground, but just to prove what you're saying, Kim, it's a very powerful liberal Democratic senator. And he's now openly admitted, he goes, no, for a year. I would go say, I want to see the president. He sits on many important committees. And they go, you can't talk anything to him off script. What? It's all got to be scripted. Because he can't function off script. And Wyden basically said, so you're telling me he's demented? Yeah, he's demented. He can't function. Now, that was a year ago, according to Wyden. That's a Democrat. And now there are other senators who are spilling the beans, Democrats, are saying, no, the staff said, don't talk to him. You can't talk to him. Who knows what's going to come out of his mouth? So they'll never allow him to take that cognitive test. Because then the question is, because that's a crime. Who covered it up? Who ordered the cover-up? Who was involved in the cover-up? Look, there's a brilliant piece in today's Wall Street Journal by Matthew Hennessy. Okay, he's their deputy editorial features editor. I urge everybody to read it. He goes, I'm telling you, when everything is said and done, of all the crimes that Biden has committed, and there are many, he says the biggest one was the cover-up of his obvious mental and cognitive infirmity and decline. This man had no business being in the White House. And yet it was covered up by people close to him. Kim, he does a cognitive test, it's an F. I mean, he's going to fail. Look, Kim, I see a doctor, okay? An ear, nose, and throat specialist. Fine, nothing major, but I have to see him. I have sinus issues, and anyway, so I see him. He's a Democrat. Okay, he voted for Kamala Harris. Okay, he told me, he voted for Kamala. He voted for Biden in 2020. He voted for Hillary in 2016. Here's what he told me. And he said, it's not just me, it's all my colleagues. We sit around, we have lunch. He goes, Biden is so gone mentally that if he came to me and he's just an ear, nose, and throat, we're not talking, heart surgery or brain surgery. He says, I don't know, a sinus infection and you have to operate to remove it. He goes, if I had to do any procedure, I would not accept him as giving voluntary consent. He goes, I'm telling you, the condition that he's in, it's so obvious to me as a doctor that I would say, I either need your wife to sign off, your children, family members. You, sir, are not mentally fit to sign off on whether I can do a medical procedure on you. He goes, that's how obvious his dementia is. So I'm telling you, Trump is going to make this argument. I don't know if he'll do it at the inaugural address. I hope he does. But he'll certainly do it right after when he's signing executive orders. He's going to say, I want him tested. He's non-compos mentis. And if he's non-compos mentis, the pardon doesn't hold. It's null and void. Look, Kim, really, we're 2 hours and 20 minutes away, okay? I don't want to jinx us by saying this. Okay, so as I'm saying it to you, I'm crossing my fingers. Both hands. Okay, my fingers are crossed. God as my witness, Kim. And you can ask my wife, Grace, if you don't believe me. My biggest fear for the last 4 years, and it has kept me awake at night, is that senile buffoon would get us into a nuclear war with Russia. That idiot would give the order to press the nuclear button. That's how dangerous I considered him in his declining mental state. Let's just put it mildly. We have no idea what a bullet, or more accurate, what a missile we all dodged. We have no idea. Kim, final word to you.
I was going to say, I think Trump's first executive order should be to arrest him for treason. Period.
I'm with you. Kim, I'm with you all the way. And to declare him non compos mentis and to say I reject these pardons. He's not mentally right to be able to do these pardons. Look, we've hit it for too long. We've avoided it for too long. We need a reckoning now with Biden's mental state. The cover-up must end. Agree, disagree. Kim, thank you for that call. All of your calls next. The final middle finger. That's what Joey just gave to Trump and to all of us. Okay, 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. All right, just to give all of you the absolute latest on the transition that is already actually beginning. So, J.D. Vance and his wonderful wife have now actually gone to the White House. So they're actually now at the White House. They've met Kamala and the first gentleman, Doug Emhoff. And Trump has now just finished his service at St. John's. And apparently he is on his way to meet, I kid you not, with Joe Biden and Jill Biden. Or as Nancy Pelosi's, they're meeting right now? Okay, so forget being on the... Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's at Blair House. Trump is at Blair House, waiting to go to the White House to meet with Joe Biden and Jill Biden, who Nancy Pelosi's daughter is now called Jill McBiden, Lady McBiden, after, of course, Lady Macbeth. So I'd love to be a fly on the wall. In that meeting. Where Trump meets Joey. Say, Joe, you just couldn't help yourself, huh? You had to give me one final middle finger on your way out, Joey? So anyway, they're going to meet, and then after that, they're heading to the Capitol for President Trump to be sworn in at high noon. 617-266-6868. Let's go to Ginger Betty. She is in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. She's actually calling us from a prayer breakfast. Ginger Betty, how are you?
Hey, Jeff. Great. How are you? Happy Inauguration Day.
Happy Inauguration Day. Ginger Betty, I'm going to ask you obviously about the festivities and the ambiance, the atmosphere there, but how do you feel, and the people that you've spoken to, about Biden's shocking decision this morning, unprecedented, to issue a series of sweeping preemptive pardons for Milley, for Fauci, for Liz Cheney, for everybody on the January 6th committee, and every Capitol Hill police officer involved in January 6th, and every Metropolitan police officer involved in January 6th. Are people upset? Are they outraged?
You know, Jeff, I'll tell you, I really didn't even hear. This is the first I'm turning on the radio. We've been here since like 6. We've been trying to get through the city. And everything is in super lockdown. We were outside for like so long, but we're in the prayer breakfast now. I mean, you just knew it. You knew something else was going to come out. It's just these people are just totally insane. They're totally mad. They're jealous. They're miserable, and they're losing power. And so they have to do everything they can. So I guess it was kind of expected. I think we expected it, but the mood here is unbelievable. People are out in the streets. I mean, it's everyone's so happy to be here, even, regardless of the frigid weather and stuff like this. I'm at the Waldorf, and I think, we're going to have a watch party here, so it's just amazing. Everybody's happy, You just look at the people. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And then I have tickets. I'm so excited to the Commander-in-Chief ball tonight. So I'm going to be giving out some of our cookie Commander-in-Chief, Ginger Donald flag cookies. So the spirit is alive and kicking. I mean, he's going to do whatever he can, but nobody can stop this. The magic that's here, this prayer breakfast. I mean, red, white, and blue. It's shining. It's so amazing to be a part of this history.
Ginger Betty, how do you feel, and the people you've spoken to, that it was so cold that they had to move it indoors, the actual inauguration into the rotunda? Are people disappointed, or do they think that's the right move?
People are disappointed. It's like, you're hearing stories. People are flying from all over the country and stuff. But, he had to make a decision. I mean, it's freezing outside, and all I could hear was people singing. People really are making the best of it. I mean, there's a lot of disappointment and stuff like that, but Trump had to make the decision, and you know what he did, and everybody's rolling with it. We're getting messages all over, oh, come meet over here. People are making do, and they're so proud to be Americans. I just met a priest from Haiti, a pastor rather, and him and his wife. It's just. It's amazing. As much disappointment as there is, everybody's celebrating. They're so happy that Trump is in. And, I mean, can I just tell you, the one takeaway from last night was him in the Village on the stage. I mean, what president does that? He is just a president of the people, for the people. He has so much love for our country, and I just want to embrace it and soak it all in with all these other proud patriots.
Amen. Ginger Betty, I want to thank you for calling in. Thank you for everything you've done for the last 4 years, really the last 10 years, but especially the last 4 years. You've been a stalwart Trump supporter, and really, this is your night. It's our night, but it's also your night. Enjoy the inauguration. Enjoy the ball. I hope you meet him, shake his hand again. And from all of us, Kuhner Country, you're representing us. Give him a big thank you from all of us, Ginger Betty. And please be safe and have a lot of fun tonight. Thank you, Ginger Betty. God bless you. I love it. They're not going to let this spoil their day, and they shouldn't let it spoil their day. This is our day. This is America's day. And don't worry. We'll kick Biden's ass. Don't worry about it. And by the way, Trump now has just arrived at the White House to meet with Joey and to meet with Jill, Dr. Jill. And this is it, my friends. The end of our national nightmare is coming soon. And a new chapter and a new golden age is soon upon us. May God bless Donald Trump, and may God bless America. Bye-bye.